Here's the
Pass.
whole thing.
Is your mom the devil? Pass.
Now listen,
Fuck it.
I don't want to pass because I gotta keep it a buck as far as that, because that's something that people always ask me. Was white man the devil? Well, then your mom's white, she the devil. People always hit me with that as if I'm just gonna shut down.
So are you part devil at all, or you ain't no devil whatsoever?
I would say, and I would explain. No, I'm not, and here's why.
How
Because
you wind up
now here because.
You don't make me pass out.
No.
I'm just turning so I can look you in the eye and see if you're going to give me a straight answer. How you not the devil?
Here's what we got to understand, right? In dealing with the biblical way of you are who your father is. Because beyond any physical aspect, it is a spiritual aspect. And this is something that I did want to bring to the table as far as what we have to understand is there's a physical aspect and there's a spiritual aspect. But there's a balance, but we have to deal with the spiritual and we have to deal with the physical. Now, when we deal with the spiritual aspect, you are who your father is because there are, 18 nations on the planet Earth, right, according to the Bible, right? Just entertain that. You know what I mean?
Real quick, if you are who your father is, and you trace your line back from father, son, how does the woman become a devil in the first place? Real quick.
How does a woman be,
how she wind up being part of that whole devil thing when everything's passed on?
Well, if her father is the devil, but the thing when you deal with women, it's an interesting concept because a woman is far more susceptible to assimilate into the culture of a man. Not saying it doesn't go either way, but a woman will assimilate into the culture of a man as well. So you can have a woman that isn't necessarily an Israelite, but she can get with an Israelite man and start following those cultures because the man on a physical level is exude that. You with me? But the whole thing is spiritually now, dealing with the 18 nations that are in the Bible, from the Hamitic, the Shemitic, and the Japhetic. Now you have, what it all really deals with is spirits, because you're dealing with reincarnation in the Bible. So every few generations, irregardless of what woman is the medium to produce the child, the spirit is coming through the man. That's why you got the sperm is in you, and that's alive. That motherfucker gonna swim to that egg and do what it needs to do. You see what I'm saying? That's a spirit that's within it. And that spirit is the spirit of your forefathers. That's an Israelite. So my spirit that went into that egg is not of the devil. It's an Israelite spirit. But that flesh, you can say that flesh is. I can't argue that because I do have a lot of my mother's traits. Every firstborn in my family from the last generation always favors the mother more so than the father anyway, dealing with phenotypically and everything anyway. You see what I'm saying? So physically, you could say that, do I have Caucasian traits physically? Yes, I do. I can't lie about that. But as far as the spirit go, my spirit is the same as the ancient spirit of Hebrew Israelite black men. You understand what I'm saying? So that's basically the lies there. Now, of course, you don't necessarily have to accept that, but that's the perspective. You see what I'm saying? So that's why you are what your father is. Because irregardless of what woman you get with, she's a medium in which for that spirit to come to life in the physical.
Would this being the case, what races are these 12 tribes, man? You got white people in those 12 tribes?
Well, it is a...
I seen a video by GMS where a white man called another brother a nigger and told him to read.
Well, I'm gonna say this, right? As far as... I don't know that video. If you can pull that video up. Now,
so I never sent it to me.
Here's what we got to understand, too. About the patrilineage, right? Now, dealing from the perspective of you are who your father is, you have people of varying hues that could exist. You understand what I'm saying?
Yeah.
As far as, because that's what I want to talk about, the 12 tribes, so you see how the shit just comes full circle, which is beautiful. Now, you have certain of the 12 tribes that are what you would call so-called Hispanic people, Native American Indian people.
Hold on. It's still recording?
Okay.
It wasn't recording?
It just stopped.
You know when it just stopped?
My ad came and got me.
Okay, so here's the question. Do you have white people in your 12 tribes? Can you just sit back there and make sure it's good?
Well, in the 12 tribes, when you deal with the 12 tribes chart breakdown, there's no group that is totally Caucasian. Can somebody who has the physical appearance of a Caucasian be an Israelite? Yes, due to the patrilineage concept. But in general, the 12 tribes of Israel are a black people.
What are those 12 tribes? So
what are 12 tribes?
Do you have any Polish or French people in one of those tribes?
No, there's no tribe that say the Polish are the tribe of Dan.
Who are these 12?
Well, the 12 tribes are the black, the Hispanic, and the Native American Indian.
Black can make up.
Well, black is in African American,
I know
West Indian, and Haitian.
There's a designation for each one of those 12 tribes.
Yes, but here's the thing:
I see ISUPK has the Negro. he's one of the tribes, whatever that means. Then you have Puerto Rican.
Yeah.
Whatever
We have
that
the
means.
same understanding.
Y'all have the same 12 tribes.
We have the same, but
Because I believe that I saw GMS was something totally different.
no. GMS don't have a different 12 tribes on the ICPK because they all come from the original.
Well, I know they
ICPK.
come from the original, but then
Now, it's GOCC has a different 12 tribe chart than the rest of us, but the rest of us all have the same 12 tribe chart. But also, what you have to understand about the 12 tribe chart is the 12 tribes are not limited to those things. There's a reason why the peoples that are listed on that 12 tribe chart are in the west, are the people in the Western Hemisphere. There's a purpose for that. Why? Because we are in the Western Hemisphere, and we are primarily interacting and dealing with brothers in the Western Hemisphere. Now, if I was to go into Africa with a 12 tribe sign, it may say something different because I'm interacting with different people, and there are Israelites that are over there. You understand what I'm saying? But we're dealing with the 12 tribes chart as it pertains to us over here in the Americas. You see what I'm saying?
So explain to me 2 Kings chapter 17, verse 18, because when I ask about it, somebody either reads the wrong verse.
I seen when they read the wrong
or they
verse.
buck dance.
Yeah, go ahead.
So
I got you.
I want to understand
And
what that means to represent.
well, 2 Kings, the what is it? 18, 17. Go ahead.
17, 18.
2 Kings chapter 17, verse 18.
Uh-huh.
Therefore, the Lord was very angry with Israel.
Who is Israel?
I would presume that's supposed to be the 12 tribes or making up the community.
This 12 tribe. What you have to understand is in the book of 1 Kings, the kingdoms was split. Okay, you had the kingdom of Judah and you had the kingdom of Israel. Even though we were nationally known as Israel, it was two kingdoms that existed in this time. And when you read
Israel
read
is Judah, what is Israel? Is Judah a tribe?
Judah is a tribe, but 3 tribes were named after that, it being the principle of the 3 tribes in which the kingdom was named after, the southern kingdom, which would be Judah, Benjamin, and Levi, which is what we would say are designated as the African American West Indian.
So Judah made up 3 different groups?
No, Judah as a tribe is 1, but as a kingdom is 3. You see what I'm saying?
So are we talking about the kingdom or are we talking about...
We're talking about, right now we're talking about kingdom. When it says Israel, it's talking about the kingdom of Israel, which is the northern kingdom of Israel, not the entire house of Israel, just basically what we call the 10 tribes of Israel, or the 9 tribes, you see what I'm saying?
So,
not the whole of the nation.
No, I understand. Israel is supposed to make up 10.
Well, Israel as a kingdom is supposed to make up 10.
Supposed to make up 10 of the
Supposed to make
tribes.
up 10 of the tribes.
That
and
I
then
understand.
and then you have Judah, the southern kingdom.
And that would make up 3.
That would make up 3.
So that would be 13 tribes altogether.
Really is 12 tribes, but why they say 10 tribes is because Manasseh and Ephraim have been known as 2, but they're really Joseph. They're really 1 tribe. You see what I'm saying?
Let him bring this out about the 2
Yeah,
kingdoms.
go ahead.
This is Ezekiel 37 and 22.
Uh-huh.
It says, "And I will make them one nation in the land upon the mountains of Israel,
Uh-huh.
and one king shall be king to them all."
So it's a prophecy about when we come back, the Lord is going to bring us back together. But during this time when this is written, we separate. You see what I'm saying? Go ahead.
"And they shall be no more 2 nations."
They shall be known because we started to function as 2 nations. You see this in history, like dealing with the Assyrians and that relationship. You see what I'm saying? Right? Go ahead.
I'm walking with you.
Neither shall they be divided into 2 kingdoms anymore at all.
That's why, and that's part of the reason why we come to the understanding that as far as in other prophecies and artifacts as well, they say that those are the Latino brothers, and then you have what you would call the so-called Negroid tribe. You see what I'm saying? Even though a lot of Latinos is Negroid, you know what I'm saying? But it's the whole thing of we split and started identifying each other as 2 distinctive people when we really come from the same source. You understand what I'm saying? But go ahead to that.
Back in 2 Kings chapter 17, verse 18.
Uh-huh.
Therefore the Lord was very angry with Israel and removed them out of his sight. There was none left but the tribe of Judah only.
Meaning what? They took the tribe, the 10 tribes of Israel and brought them into captivity in Assyria. That's what that was dealing with, right? Go ahead.
Also Judah kept not the commandments of the Lord their power,
Right, so we got exiled too. That's why we over here now. You see what I'm saying? Go ahead.
but walked in the statutes of Israel, which they made.
Which was idolatry and all that wickedness that Israel was into. You see what I'm saying?
So now, the reason why I had an issue with this, because it says, therefore the Lord was very angry with Israel, and he removed them. And the word they use for remove is saw, which means to abolish, or even to eradicate, or to put to an end. So if I was to read it in that context, it would be, therefore the Lord was very angry with Israel, and he abolished or put to an end or eradicated, in that respect, 10 tribes from his sight. And there was none left but the tribe or Judah alone. And the word that they say used for left would be sha'er, which is spare. So he didn't spare no one but the tribe of Judah, and Judah would have to consist of 2 or 3.
Well, 3. It would consist of definitively 3 tribes.
Okay.
Because Levi is its own tribe.
So if he eradicated Israel, which consisted of 10 tribes, or he abolished or removed them completely, and then there was none left, or he didn't spare none but Judah, which consisted of 3 tribes, then why are we still taking the 12 tribes into context?
Here's the reason. It's because of the prophecy that even though he did away with that tribe for a time, after basically give me
how did they emerge? How does that group of 10 that was abolished or eradicated or completely put to an end and was not spared, how do they wind up resurfacing again? Did he just recreate Israelites again?
Get that in 2nd Ezra, and then get Jeremiah 50 and 33. When it says that they were abolished, that doesn't necessarily mean they were it doesn't mean that they were exterminated.
Gotcha.
Put them into that captivity, and then something happened while they was in that captivity in Syria. You see what I'm saying?
I'm walking with you.
Which is 2nd Ezra 13, and then but matter of fact, get Jeremiah 50 and 33 first, so we can understand that.
And these books are. I'm listening. I'm gonna listen first.
This is Jeremiah 50 and 33. Thus saith the Lord of hosts, the children of Israel and the children of Judah were oppressed together, and all that took them captive.
The children of Israel and the children of Judah were oppressed together. Now this didn't happen because we split. So this is a future tense prophecy that we was going to be oppressed together in the new Babylon. You see what I'm saying? What would be identified in prophecy as the new Babylon. Not ancient Sumer in that area, the new age one. You see what I'm saying?
I got you.
But that we was going to be reunited under oppression. You see what I'm saying? So basically, the Lord cast both of us out of his sight, meaning out of his land, put us into various captivities, and he was going to bring us all back together in another captivity in a foreign land. You see what I'm saying?
This is the thing. When this prophecy transpires, and we know that biblically or historically, based on the Bible, that there was a time where the Lord eradicated or abolished or removed them, whether it meant that he eliminated them as far as existence is concerned, or he didn't spare them, and as far as the fact that he just turned his head to them, like, you are worshiping the wrong thing, and you're not following my commandments, so right now I'm only dealing with these 3 tribes. I can walk with you on all of that.
Okay.
Not ignorant. I hear you. Now, we go into prophecy. You say that that next verse right here is a prophetical account of what will take place in the future amongst Israel.
Yeah.
Consisting of those 12 tribes. And we will oppress those 2 nations. We will have a common oppression in history. But this is a prophetical account.
Exactly.
How are y'all able to identify each one of those 12 tribes the way you do? When I see that chart and I see Puerto Ricans, Negroes, Native Americans, and whatever that means, because that can consist of a host of people that I believe you would say is not even part of you.
Exactly.
Dig into what a Puerto Rican is. You know, you gotta keep in mind that as a young brother, I walk the streets of New York. There's several camps. Several camps.
You ready, babe?
Oh, yeah, definitely. I'm on it. Camera, no camera. You know, there's several camps out there in New York. So you can't walk down the block without someone telling you about something, and not just Israel. You know, you got
out there.
Exactly. You got the Masonic Lodge. You got the just on 125th within like a 6-7 block radius. You can meet the Nuwapians. You can meet the 5 percenters. You can see Mars 7, I believe, of Nation of Islam, Nation of the Gods and the Earth. You got the Vanguards over here. You got Bloods. You got Crips. You got Saturday right there. Middle of everything. Everyone's shopping. This is all convoluted. This is just one convoluted scheme of consciousness and unconsciousness all together. That's where everything meets over there, 125th, within like a 6-7 block radius. In Brooklyn, the same. You're going to walk certain places. It's not like how I've been out here in different states. I mean, everyone knows something.
Yeah, exactly.
Everyone's pushing
it. It ain't like that out here.
Yeah, everywhere you go, someone, peace, black man. You know, even the crackheads going to tell you Black Man God or something like he got something in his head. He was part of somebody's revolutionary movement. You know, people are more aware. So the attitude is like, oh, I heard that before. You know, or you got to be coming with something different or something new or a different approach or a different angle. So after being ridiculed X amount of times, being the one that was unconscious, walking by brothers like y'all trying to enlighten me, you know, to now being conscious and then saying to myself, man, I wonder what's the best approach. So when I have all these questions, it's simply questions that I may have gone around asking because I always want to know. I'm interested in knowing what black people are thinking because it helps me be able to educate our people too. And it also, maybe I would say and approach people differently because I want their attention and I want them to entertain the kind of conversation I want to have. So like when I'm asking y'all questions, I'm taking things into consideration so that I won't waste an opportunity to ask the right question to you. So these questions I ask you now, the next time I get around you and I ask questions, they'd be more critical or more becoming of what maybe you may want to, what you expect. Maybe even more challenging, but not as far as you probably won't be able to answer it. Mm-hmm. But the more I understand who I'm talking to, the better I'm able to communicate with them. You understand what I'm saying? 100%. So like when I go to another Israelite in Brooklyn, and then now instead of starting a conversation off from 2 Kings 17:18 and deciphering if Judah makes up 3 tribes and Israel was 10 tribes and that was the division right there, and then understanding the prophetical account that comes later on afterwards, how Israel will have a common oppression. See, as I'm accumulating data, so whether I agree with you or not, I'm gaining understanding in what you are accounting for as far as history is concerned. So there'd be no time for me to waste building with you as a brother. Then I can say, okay, I'm past that. I understand what you brothers conveyed to me about that matter. Or you say you of your father's seed. That was something that slips a lot of people. Mm-hmm. You miss a lot of the Israelite heritage or understanding if you don't know certain fundamental aspects. So for me having these conversations with you guys, I can understand if I agree or disagree on certain things. Some people disagree and they don't even know why they should be disagreeing because they didn't even do enough investigation or to hear other people's part. You dig what I'm saying? Exactly. So I'm reluctant to disagree with everything. And then sometimes I just ask a question because I'm safely asking the question because I don't want to egotistically disagree before I have evaluation. I need your consent through your conveyance for me to even be in a position to disagree. Whereas some people read by themselves, don't ask nobody questions pertaining to what they just read. They just read and then they disagree based on them reading. I would read something, then I would ask you, what does this mean right here? And sometimes people be on the defense like, yo, you know, you asked me all of this. And truthfully, before I can disagree, I need to hear what you say about that because you might have more insight about that than I do because I might have just read 1 page or 2 lines about it and it may have struck a question or a nerve, but it's not enough to have a conviction about it first. I need to go to the actual people who support this doctrine and say, what do you mean by this when you say this? So I can actually know what's in your mind so I can actually say, well, I agree with the Israelite brothers on that because I say it all the time when I hear you speaking. I understand what you're saying. I'm walking with you with that. I'm not sitting here just with the intent. I'm going to disagree with you niggas no matter what. Yeah. Because I just can't live my life like that. I'm just not that kind of person. Just being a country. Exactly. Because I can miss out on something, and I give black people more credit than to believe everything they're doing is completely wrong or crazy. You know what I'm saying? I just don't believe in it. No. You know what I'm saying? I mean, I have fun. I joke around when I'm disagreeing, but I like to keep the energy as positive as possible because sometimes shit get chipped. You know what I'm saying? So even when I'm doing my debates, I joke around and play because sometimes I see people be emotional. Like I said, I'm a man. I'm gonna walk away from that, and I'm still gonna be happy. The only person getting under my skin is my wives. I'm not gonna let no men get under my skin where I just lose myself. But I've seen it in several communities, and that's why I joke and play so much to remind people. You gotta lighten the mood. I'm not trying to kill you. You know what I'm saying? Like I don't hate you, fam. I'm trying to learn just as much as you might be trying to learn.
And we gotta have a willingness to teach. You know what I'm saying? And that's where it goes into. You know, that's where it goes into when you was talking about people getting encountered with certain questions and reacting immediately on the defensive. We also have to not always take a look at you like, or anybody that is, as if they're trying to come and just be contrary and you got to get in defense mode and just whoop their ass. Sometimes somebody just don't understand genuinely and they just want to understand a little bit. So you got to be willing to teach. That's why the Bible say be apt to teach, and it also say know how to answer every man. Exactly. I got to know how to answer you or the next person or the next person. Everybody don't just get cut down. Now when somebody become a brick wall, now I'm just going to go into, now I'm going to turn into the guerrilla Hebrew and just start attacking you. You know what I'm saying? But as long as you come in, somebody come and reason, because people come, we had somebody on the radio show we just did. He was coming with the same questions that conscious people come, and I'm getting frustrated, but I said, oh, you just calm down. I'm gonna just study. That's it. I'm gonna just go and show him that what he's saying, he don't know what he's saying right now. And by the end of it, he was like, well, okay. You know what I'm saying?
That's
Like, he just couldn't do it. So that's why we have to be willing to teach.
Even when I first went to the brother Hashar and seen him for the first time, which was on video, oh, Hashar, got you. You see how Mike was agreeing with him? I'm like, and my brother says something that's true. Should I disagree to represent my clique or something? I'm like, I met him for the first time. When I meet somebody for the first time, I keep it a buck with him. You know what I'm saying? I'm not going to go into those contentions because I'm just meeting the brother for the first time. I want him to understand on a personal note where I'm at. I never met you directly in person. From out of nowhere, I show up one day uninvited. But by UPK, I was invited. So though on camera it looked like, yo, Polight just popped up and we started going at it. Nah, we had a conversation prior so we can do the debate out there. And it was still organic, so it even gives you the impression I might have just walked up there and got at the brother. But that I don't behave like that because
it evolved into that.
Exactly, because for all I know, there might be a soul that can use your information as a stepping stone to get them out of whatever it is they're getting into. I don't want to be the force in that soul's life to impede on a conscious process. For whatever reason, they might be drawn to something you saying. You have black people's better interests at hand. That's what you feel in your heart, and that's what you feel in your mind. That person wasn't drawn to me. I'm probably walking and minding my business. So I see you out in the street talking, and I feel it's my responsibility to come stop your flow that these people listening to, and to show them that you're wrong. And all in the process, get them to follow. That's a lot to be trying to do in a few minutes with people that probably was going to shop and only want to buy into a certain amount of time. So I'm not going to come in and filibuster when I see you out in the street, organize and convene to get ready to do a task. So that's why respectfully, I build with the brothers, and we decided that, yeah, I could come through and I could build with them. That's how I flow. So with Hashar, I never cordially introduced myself to him. So the first time I seen him was on the day y'all see me on the camera. So I stayed humble. Why? There's no need to be in attack mode. I'm meeting my brother for the first time. So there's no need for, well, I agree, disagree with this, disagree. Now the baby Hebrew, I know him.
Okay.
So I'm going to fuck around with this guy right here because we go there at 125th. That normally don't get taped. I was surprised he was over there. So I'm like, oh, because he kept telling me he's down with them. And I'm like, they don't rock with you. So when I see him, I was like, oh shit, baby Hebrew. So, we going to go at it. But with Hashar, it was like, yo, it's crazy because, when people see you on some humble shit, it's like, oh man, yo, he said things that made sense. Well, I'm not supposed to disagree all the time because you just a Hebrew. Like I can't live like that.
And two, a lot of guys, and when dudes make that assumption, a lot of dudes is not street dudes, and you can tell when they do that because you, like, for example, you speak about your gang background. Me and pretty much everybody that's associated with me come from a gang background.
You ready?
Now, if you see somebody that's from the other side, but he's a reputable and you're a reputable, and you know what his reputation and you know yours, you're not necessarily just going to turn up with him and turn it into a situation. It's a level of respect there because you know who he is and he know who you is, and we don't necessarily got to take it there all the time. You know what I'm saying? So, but guys not being from the streets might not necessarily grasp that concept. So that's where it comes from.
We became cool, and then we discussed like we're going to be doing a debate soon, and that's where we're going to go in. So now, if I step up to the camp, I'm gonna be in warrior mode. We're gonna go in
mode now.
But so long as I know my brother understands off the camera, don't go too far. I need you to know that I'm not there. Because if I want to gangbang, I know exactly where I could go in Brooklyn to do it.
Exactly.
I don't have to come to a people in the name of righteousness or people that's saying they coming out to heal the people. I think that's ass. You know what I'm saying?
Exactly.
To talk all this shit to a group of people that you know is trying to uplift the people the best way they know how. And I'm making you the fucking enemy. You know what I'm saying? Like on a level where I gotta bang on you Hebrews. I be telling people like, you niggas crazy. You know what I'm saying? This ain't banging. You know what I'm saying? I know banging.
And this
niggas been behind the wall. I know what banging is.
Exactly.
So it's like this far from fucking banging. This is us trying to get our shit right.
Yeah, exactly.
Because in the process of people hearing us conversate, they're gonna learn something from it. So that's when I even learn more to like do this part of the conversation also on camera to show people like, because they don't never see the camaraderie. They don't ever see the conversation. Because this dialogue I normally do off the camera, and they only get the actual debate.
Yeah, exactly.
So then I realize when I'm going amongst other Israelites, Like it's like almost confrontational, and I'm like, yo, what's wrong with you?
Yeah, they
You know what
look
I'm
at you
saying?
like, oh, it's
Oh,
just
he
nigga,
go
you know
around
what
just
I'm
trying to
saying?
bother.
Yeah.
So I'm like, I'm not
See,
with that.
and
that's why I went out.
Shaka is doing certain things like that now,
Yeah, I
and that's
know.
why he's getting that attention.
And I
you know
told
what
him
I'm
that,
saying?
you know, he's his own man.
Yeah, of
so
course,
he
of course.
does what he does, and you know, more power to him. But I got a different approach, and that's why even with Sabat, after I saw Hashar that day, I went down to Sabat.
Yeah.
So a couple people typed, yeah, you know his name, put up the Sabat video. It wasn't contentious.
Yeah.
It wasn't even enough there. Because actually, Sabat and I was banging on his white boy for talking some weird information.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? He was talking some out of it just was misappropriated information. So, you know, and it was really Sabat's forum. So I didn't want to come in trying to teach in the presence of a man who situated himself to teach his information, because I didn't want to misrepresent what he came out to teach in his place. If I want to teach, I can go in my space.
Exactly.
I don't got to come in his space and try to teach in front of him.
And a lot of people get that fucked up, to be quite frank.
Exactly.
You know
They
what
do
I'm
that
saying?
too.
They get fucked up. Yeah, they
You're
come
not
in.
supposed to build on another man's
Yeah,
foundation.
as the scripture says.
We don't do that.
Man,
You know what I'm saying? Like in the hood, on the east, if you got your flag out in someone else's territory, you ready to go to war a lot of times. Like it's a different situation.
Yeah,
you're not
you
asking
did
to tuck
something,
it
yeah.
in. You just saying something when you represent yourself a certain way in another person's jurisdiction.
Exactly. Same thing out here with the flag, and more so with the baseball hats and things of that.
Yeah,
nature. It might be
Got
best
the-
for you
the
to take
New
that
York
hat off.
or
You know,
whatever,
yeah.
like, yo,
Just take
if
that
you're
off.
not trying to say that,
Yeah.
you're not losing your manhood. You're just keeping it a buck, because that's the atmosphere you in. So
Yeah, exactly.
even though this is not the gang, I learned a lot from the gang
A lot of
community
positive
that conscious
things in the
people
gang.
need to pick up.
Yeah,
You know what I'm
yeah.
saying? Because they just be taking it out of context the way we're supposed to deal with each other. Because we're conscious.
Yeah, that's a
you know
fact.
what I mean. So,
People don't want to see. They don't want to see the videos that's edifying, bro.
Look, yeah, what motherfuckers is building.
yeah. Like, it should be whack to them, but like I said, at the end of the day, I'm appreciative of the effort being put forth. First and foremost, when I go hard, it's the only way to go, because I'm a man. We're supposed to never show that weakness. So if we standing strong on our convictions, we gotta go super fucking hard. We gotta do it, because that's the way to teach our children. Like, don't open your mouth about something you say you believe in and you don't really believe in it. You see, like, don't half step on what you call or what you claim to be the truth, and try to get everybody down with the truth. But then when you're confronted by somebody who knows something, now you're gonna start pacifying the information or being more meekful. Then if that's what it is, then there's no confidence in that. You know, if you start backpedaling when I'm asking you questions, and you start getting all meekful and shit and looking all uncomfortable, then okay, that's going to weigh on your nation.
Yeah,
you know. And at the same rate, if a good point is made, it should never hurt you to say, well, you know, it's a good point, we'll look into it. You know, you did that here, and with things you said, I said, yo, I heard that. I got you. I'm walking with you. We got to be men enough to be like, all right, cool. I hear you. You know, we're gonna look up more info. We could bring it back to the table afterwards. Nothing wrong with that. So that's why I said when I was dealing with a shop, I was like, yo, these people funny as hell. You know, and that's why I could tell where there's insecurity, because you don't claim a win when there's no war.
Yeah,
you know,
if
two brothers wasn't going to war, how you claim a W? I went over there to meet that man for the first time. There's no reason for that. So I just wanted to keep the love, smile, fives, and then off the camera we built a little more. Then we had that round table discussion you was talking about. Really connected after that day. And then that's when I was like, you know what? And I made sure I made my rounds. When I get to New York, I make my rounds. I connect with the 5%. I connect with everybody. I go to their spot. Camera, no camera. Can I build with you? You know, because I was brought up, my pops was part of the Nation of Gods and Earth. You dig? So he raised me on this for the time that he was around in my life, and it stayed with me. You dig what I'm saying? So I was always told TTP or TTMP, talk to people or talk to more people.
Yeah.
You know, I'm always going, I talk to people. It don't matter where we at. You see how y'all up in here? Because that's who I am.
Yeah.
Other niggas talk all that shit on the camera, and then when niggas be like, yo, can you link up with this one, that one? I'm in the West Coast. I don't know what these niggas gonna do. It's a bunch of, nah, niggas, I'm dealing with the truth, so I ain't guilty about nothing. I'm safe everywhere I go because I know I'm dealing with the truth. You know, that's how my edification work. If I know I'm dealing with the truth and my spirit is right, then everyone I'm around, you're always supposed to be. If you wasn't, how did you get there? That's just how my whole shit is wired. You know, it's like people that walk around watching their back or uncomfortable upon meeting new people, then don't say the things that you say, because that's not what's in your heart. Everything I say is official. Like, that's how I feel in my heart. So I can't see someone trying to suppress or oppress me because of a conviction that I had. I'm not built like that. It's going to be spoken if I got it in my mind. I'm just going to say it with a certain regard or a certain respect.
Yeah, exactly.
You know, and that's why I said I go around, I make my rounds, and I connect with people. I talk to people. I build with them. I get to know them directly. Then after that, we sparring for the sake of people learning from the dialogue. We could do that. If you're not the type to do that, we still can spar off the camera. If you're not about that, when I see you, it's official. You still my brother if you about that. And if you're not about that, I still love you. Even if you weird. And I'm just going to leave you where you at. You know, so that's what it is ultimately for me, man. I just want to know people and know how they think, because how people walking around, they're into a lot of different information. And the only way you can really get to them is if you start prying into some of the information. It's just like having children. They into different music. There's only going to be so long you don't fuck with the music, that your children mess with the music, that you start saying, I got to start listening to some of this shit just to see what they talking about. Because, you know, I don't deal with a lot of the new music. Of course. You know, at one point I left it completely alone because I was just turned off by it. Then I started liking it again because of the battle rap, particularly with Loaded. So I was like, all right, cool, I'll listen to it again. But I learned I still got to entertain some of this craziness that's being said, so I don't seem like I can't relate or understand. You know what I mean? For real. So it's the same thing with the doctrines. Like whether I want to be part of the Islam doctrine or Nation of Islam stuff or 5% of information, I still take the time out to learn something in there, because somebody walking the streets looking for guidance might be holding on only to that at minimum, but still searching. And at least we can meet on some kind of common ground, and we can start building. You know,
exactly. So, and that's great, and that's what we have to do. We have to take more time to do that, as opposed to how. I mean, guys it just be motherfuckers be in a box too much, man. You can't just put yourself in a box, because you got to be comfortable with the information that you're dealing with. Like, I'm comfortable with the scriptures 100%, and I'll deal with it with anybody. But I'm not just because you asking questions, I'm not just going to look at you some type of way. Fuck this nigga, you know what I'm saying? Just you asking the questions. It is my job as somebody who professes themselves to be a teacher and have a knowledge bestowed upon them from the Most High God to teach.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? How can I not do that? So brothers got to make sure we are doing as the Bible says, being apt to teach. If you calling yourself a Hebrew Israelite, and for people who aren't Hebrew Israelites, like even Polight has mentioned how he may not accept the Bible in its totality and entirety, but are there principles in there that he likes and may apply to himself? Yes. And being apt to teach is evidently one of them. We got to be apt to teach. Like you said, it's about the upliftment of our people. You see what I'm saying? Point blank period. The only reason we go out to street corners and do what we do is so a black man may be walking by and say, oh, what's this? And he'll maybe put the pack down and start to better himself and instill himself with better principles. You know what I'm saying? That's what it's about. Real right. Niggas lose sight of that sometimes, you know what I'm saying? And niggas, egos get in the way and things like that.
So fucking sensitive, man.
We can't lose sight of that.
Being raised without a man in the house, you start picking up a lot of feminine traits. And
that's true.
Now a man can't disagree with you without you getting all crazy, man.
Nah. And that's real.
You take on the arguments like a female would with a man. It gets confusing. Like sometimes I'm like, I don't even know who I'm arguing with. Like, why you so upset?
Also with the sincerity too.
Yeah.
Especially, just dudes in camps, man. They get this knowledge and they start getting puffed up. You know what I mean? Now we can't sit down and we have this conversation. I can hear your point, you can hear my point, and we go knowledge for knowledge.
That's what
they don't want to hear you. You know what I'm saying? So it's the sincerity of it. But if you're actually trying to receive this knowledge and that's the wisdom of it. Right. Now, you know what I'm saying, coming to somebody that's with the new covenant, we can deal with them and we can talk to them and deal with them in a certain manner. You know what I'm saying? With us watching other camps and other, philosophy and
other camps, we got different interpretations and deal with different Israelite camps. So that too,
different aggressions.
Different aggressions.
That's the sincerity of, you know what I'm saying, when we dealing with these brothers, when I first, joined with these brothers, it's a different vibe from watching the elders. And you know what I'm saying? They cussing Nate out, cussing. But see, the thing about it is when the elders first, when Sonetta came into the elders and y'all was, and they was cool that day, it kind of changed. You know what I'm saying? So it's like people want to just see what the elders do, and then they just gonna cuss people out. About that.
Be a mockingbird, you know what I mean?
Yeah, word.
We gotta be our own people.
A lot of people try to follow Khalid Muhammad.
Yeah.
So they feel like in order for them to do deliberation, they have to cuss up a storm and everything. And that misrepresents him because he wasn't all about just cussing.
Yeah, exactly. And you can't re-emulate somebody. That was him. We all as created as individuals have our own spirit. So if that's his angle and that's what works for him, and that's like a Sarasum Seti. Seti worked for Seti. That's him. That's who he is. But if you ain't built like a Seti and you come in and try to present yourself like that, you'll look stupid because that's not you, and we can see through it. You know what I'm saying? So that's something that definitely we gotta remember and we gotta focus. But I want to get back to the 12 tribes discussion real quick. Just again dealing with boom, from the prophetic space of.
And I'm ready for your question.
Yeah, okay.
Man, I'm here.
Yeah. So from the prophetic space, dealing with the fact that yes, Israel was cast out of the land, the northern kingdom was cast out of the land, and then later Judah was cast out of the land, and we went into various captivities. But the prophecy in Jeremiah said that we would be reunited in captivity. You see what I'm saying? And then we would be brought back together. You see what I'm saying? We would be saved basically out of the same place and from the same oppressor, being a white man. But real quick, dealing with the 12 tribes, because the question was asked, like, for example,
right over there.
Actor Joaquin Phoenix, right? You know Joaquin Phoenix from what is this motherfucker from Signs and you know what I'm talking about. Joaquin Phoenix, he's from Puerto Rico.
Gotcha.
Does that make him a Hebrew Israelite and tribe? Hell no. That's a white person. So I understand people.
That's what I'm looking for.
Yeah.
That practicality. Then
Exactly.
I keep listening.
Yeah, exactly. Because people oftentimes, like, we got the 12 tribes, so we got to be able to explain this. Does that mean, or for example, like his brother was talking about, there was a time we was at camp and these motherfuckers came from Brazil, but they was Portuguese. So they say, oh, we from Brazil. I said, y'all Portuguese? Because I understand there's indigenous Brazilians, there's black Brazilians, and there's Portuguese white Brazilians. So, well, y'all Portuguese. This does not pertain to you. You were the same people that oppressed our brothers that are down there in Brazil. You see what I'm saying? So just because we have to understand too with Newspeak, as I touched on earlier, the term nation, go back to the Hebrew word raza, right? Which is dealing with your patrilineage. Nation now isn't looked at like that. If I was to go move from China, I'm Chinese now. But did that make me Chinese? No, it's not. So that's what we got to understand. When we're taking a look at that 12 tribes chart, we're taking a look at it as those people who are of Indian and Negroid descent. Now, dealing with the Indian, because some people say, well, they ain't black. But take a look at myself, for example, right? Now, especially before I had this beard, motherfuckers thought I was Puerto Rican. Everybody was thinking I was Puerto Rican before I had this beard. You know what I'm saying? I'm like, I ain't no damn Puerto Rican. But it's the whole thing of, when you deal with what an indigenous American is, it's a mixed black person. You see what I'm saying? If you can feel that. So dealing with, again, going back to the patrilineage, they're a mixed black person. So when their lineage goes back far enough, they're black people, especially before conquistadors came and, all of that madness. You see what I'm saying? So they're mixed black people. So that's where we get with identifying them with us, because dealing with taking the skin color out of it and just dealing from a spiritual sense, we vibe with Puerto Ricans. I know y'all out in New York, you probably got Puerto Ricans, Dominicans that you ran with. You see what I'm saying? All day. That you looked at as no different from a black man. You see what I'm saying? But there is a bit of there's a cultural diffusion a little bit, and there's differentiation in skin colors and things like that. But then you got Puerto Ricans that look like a Royale, for example. Right, his pops is from Puerto Rico, but you might not necessarily think that upon meeting him. He don't speak Spanish, or got an accent. He don't look like Sonetta Dominican, which we were just talking about the other day, because Shaka was sitting there. Why you got all these Latinos? You came in with Sonetta, dude. What you doing? You sound stupid when you say that. So just because, and even Malik, Malik, the brother from the Zulu Nation that be down there messing with Sonetta. When he's going into it to where. We got to understand, these people that was over here in Americas didn't just pop up in the Americas. You see what I'm saying? The Bible has an account of how they got over here. Now, some people may not accept that, but either way, you can't tell me that these people just popped up in America. Now, the white man will tell you what they got over here through the Barren Land Bridge. That's theoretical. There's no proof that the Barren Land Bridge actually existed. You see what I'm saying? So, we got to deal with certain things. Now, when you deal with Aztec history, actually the Mayans say that they landed in modern-day Florida, fleeing from a land in the east. You see what I'm saying? That's according to their history. So am I going to believe what the white man theory in regards to their origins, or I'm going to believe what the hell they talk about? Yeah. But now, I could go, there's an entire Mayan city that was found in the state of Georgia. So when I take a look at them saying that they landed in Florida, and the fact that there's remnants of them in Georgia, that makes sense to the fact that they migrated all the way over to Mexico and to Central America. You see what I'm saying?
I did.
And that also goes into play with the biblical narrative. So this is some of the things that reinstills and helps us understand who the 12 tribes are. Now, when I seen y'all having that discussion, you was like, well, I'm just supposed to believe Ariel got this from God. Ariel didn't just get this from God. You see what I'm saying? It was precept upon precept in the scriptures that helped him to understand it. Now, before Ariel even came into the truth, you had the pioneer of the original ISU became 1969, which is Alvin Vickers. And he was taught by a former slave, as the story goes, that he was a Hebrew Israelite.
Yeah.
Now, when he stopped when he was traveling back to New York, him being from New York, he was at an Indian reservation, and he said, "Well, shit, just observing the nature of these people, I believe these are the same possessing these Israelites too." So he had that belief from there. Understanding the scriptures and going into the scriptures began to validate it, and not just the scriptures, history itself. With a book like A Star in the West, which spoke about how, which Ali Muhammad loves to bring out, but he'll say that the people who call themselves Latinos now are not the real Latinos and things like that. But Ali Muhammad brought out books that deal with how when the white man was encountering Native Americans, when he was encountering Mexicans, and they was coming with the Bible, they said, "Well, that's mine." You see what I'm saying? But you using that now, but when I followed that, we was doing well, and y'all couldn't come fuck with it. But after we turned away from that, this is when y'all came and started fucking with it. So that, and, amongst other books that all attest to the same thing. You see what I'm saying? That these people are descendants of ancient Israel. And not only that, there's a brother in GMS, the GMS Mississippi camp. He was just in Mexico, standing. You see him, boom, pyramids is behind him. You see what I'm saying? And he was going to Kukulkan and Cucamonte and Quetzalcoatl, which are all basically the same deity being synthesized through different cultures. You see what I'm saying? But all totally resemble the biblical description of Christ. So when we factor all of these things in, this is when we start to understand, okay, this and that. But there's one definitive thing that helps us understand who the 12 tribes are. This isn't brought out that much. REI didn't bring this out when he wanted to prove this point. You see what I'm saying? Give me that Revelation 7 real quick. Basically, in Revelation 7, it's speaking about the salvation of the nation of Israel as the 12 tribes. The elect of Israel, 144,000, 12,000 at every 12 tribes. Now, the order in which the tribes are named is unlike the 12 tribes have ever been ordered prior in the Bible. They're never ordered this way. And coincidentally enough, they're ordered in the exact geographical fashion in which the 12 tribes chart was made. You see what I'm saying? Now, again, REI made the chart. He never brought this out. And just to be quite honest with you, before I brought this out, I never heard anybody bring this out before. You see what I'm saying? So we can understand that this is even more concrete substantiation to the breakdown. You see what I'm saying? But go ahead.
Revelations chapter 7, verse 4. And I heard the number of them which were sealed. And there were sealed 144 and 4,000 men. Of all tribes of the children of Israel.
Of all tribes of the children, right, read?
Of the tribe of Judah were sealed 12,000.
Judah would be the African American, right, read?
Of the tribe of Reuben were sealed 12,000.
Seminole Indian, right, read?
Of the tribe of Gad were sealed 12,000.
North American Indian. So, where do these people dwell? In North America. You see what I'm saying? In America, parts of Canada. You see what I'm saying? This is where these people dwell. Coincidentally enough, they were all listed together. Now read.
Of the tribe of Asher, 12,000.
Asher would be the Colombian to the Uruguayan. We're dealing with South America. Now go ahead.
Of the tribe of Nephilim, were sealed 12,000.
Which would be the Argentinians, the Chileans.
Nephilim,
which would be the Argentinians, the Chileans. Now there's more prophecies that go into that, but just, touching on the surface, notice they just named North America and then South America was named. You see what I'm saying? Go ahead.
Of the tribe of Manasseh were sealed 12,000.
That's Cubans, right, Red?
Of the tribe of Simeon were sealed 12,000.
Dominicans, right, Red?
Of the tribe of Levi were still 12,000.
Haitians. Now we know Haitians, Dominicans on the same island, and you can swim to Cuba from Haiti. You see what I'm saying? So these are all you see the pattern now. You see what I'm saying? Go ahead.
Yeah, that's crazy. Of the tribe of Issachar were still 12,000.
The Mexican, right, Red?
Of the tribe of Zebulon were still 12,000.
Right, which is the Guatemalans, the Panamanians, right to the south of Mexico. Right, go ahead.
Of the tribe of Joseph were still 12,000.
That's the Puerto Rican, right, Red?
Of the tribe of Benjamin were still 12,000.
Benjamin is the different West Indian Negro. So, and we know that Puerto Rico and Jamaica are in close proximity, as well as the other islands are all in close proximity to each other. So, we have to take a look at these things, and this is why we have faith, and we ain't afraid to say we have faith and belief in the scriptures, because are you mean to tell me that shit like this is a coincidence, or should I just overlook this, or is a picture starting to be painted? You see what I'm saying?